हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गायै नमः। ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। ओम समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं भवानी शंकरौ वन्दे श्रद्धाविश्वासरूपिणौ याभ्यां विना न पश्यन्ति सिद्धाः स्वान्तस्तमीश्वरं वसुदेवसुतं देवं कंसचाणूरमर्दनं देवकी परमानन्दं कृष्णं वन्दे जगद्गुरुं। रामाय रामभद्राय रामचन्द्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीतायाः पतये नमः। बुद्धिर्बलं यशोधैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम नमः शिवाय 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 ओम नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। So this whole journey of our spirituality is with the help of the mind. So first we have to clean the mind, make it single pointed, educate the mind, and then meditate and transcend the mind. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayoho. Mind alone is the cause for our bondage, and mind alone helps us to go beyond all bondage. So by following the path of Karma Yoga and Upasana, we make the mind pure and single pointed. Thereafter we gain that knowledge from the teacher through Shravan and Manan. Thus educate the mind about the nature of the self. Then drop all action and focus our attention on the self. Sincerely, with resolve, with enthusiasm, we have to meditate. Means place the mind, the thoughts of the mind, on the self alone. Let the mind become absolutely steady on the self. Shane shane ruparamed buddhya dhriti gritaya atma sansthamma manakritva na kinchit api chintayet. Atma sansthamma manaha. The mind should be placed in the self. Thereafter one should not initiate any thoughts. So that is the sar of meditation, the essence of meditation. And if the mind starts running here and there, again to catch it and place it in the self. If we practice this for a long time, then our mind will gain abidance in ourself, and we will realize our own self as Brahma and will become free. We will see the whole world, all beings. In all beings we will see our own self, and we will see the entire world in our own self. We will see our oneness with Ishvara. So such a yogi who has gained the Sarvatma Bhav is always free, always mukta. Sarvatha vartamanopi sa yogi mai vartate. In whatever way the yogi is living and acting, is always established in that Ishvara, is always residing in that Brahma. So a yogi, a Shrestha yogi, the excellent yogi is one who looks at all beings, comparing them with his own self. See, there are countless beings, there are infinite beings are there. But due to ignorance and due to their samskars, all of them are at different stages of evolution. But all are expression of my own self. So whether outwardly a person is highly evolved or not evolved, whether the being is a human being, animal, bird, plant, all of them are expression of my own self. And they are struggling to reach that ultimate goal. So understanding this deeply, the yogi will have compassion towards all beings. He will not dislike or hate anyone. There will be total that vision of equanimity towards all. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini Shuni Chaiva Shvapake Cha Pandita Samadarshinaha. He will become Samadarshi, will not have any hatred, dislike, will be compassionate towards all, will not be violent towards any being. So such a yogi is an excellent yogi. So Bhagwan wants all of us to become this yogi and gain that realization. So after listening to this beautiful discourse on dhyana, Arjuna, he asked the question, कि हे मधुसूदन, हे कृष्ण, कि this yoga which you have described of attaining that samatva, that equanimity of vision, that quietude of the mind, that abidance of this mind in the self, this beautiful yoga which you have described, Arjuna says that I feel it cannot be attained. It is very difficult to attain. Etasyaham na pashyami stitim stiram. I don't see a steady state. Even if we, for a short time, with lot of effort, we try to quieten the mind, it will remain quiet for some time, then again it will run away. So I don't see a steady abidance of this mind in this self, because the mind by nature is chanchal, is restless. So how can we change the nature of a thing? It's like somebody saying that lots of those waves are there in the ocean. When all the waves becomes quiet, then we will be able to cross this ocean or something like that. But the waves will never quieten. The ocean will keep on producing waves. Similarly, this antakarana can never be quiet. It is very chanchalam. So chanchalatvat stitim stiram etasyaham na pashyami. Then Arjuna now explains in more detail about how this yoga, dhyana is very difficult. Is almost impossible, very difficult. Here it is not that Arjuna has become totally pessimistic, but he wants some guidance, some solution from Bhagwan, so that our yoga sadhana becomes more easy. He wants to know if there is some method, some technique by which we can quieten this restless mind and gain that abidance in our own self. So Arjuna is describing his mind, but it is not only his mind, he is describing mind in general. We also experience our mind in the same way. So he says in verse number 34, Chanchalam himana Krishna pramati balavadhudam tasyaham nigraham manye vayoriva sudushkaram. Bhagwan Krishna, Hey Krishna, one who attracts everyone, is called Krishna. Shankaracharya ji also gives the meaning of Bhagwan's name. Krishna iti krishate vilekhanarthasya rupam bhajana papadi dosha karshanat krishnaha. So Bhagwan is one who removes the dosha, papa, dosha, defects of his bhakta. Therefore, he is called Krishna. That is also another meaning of the word Krishna. He removes the dosha, papa of his devotees. So even by devoting ourselves to Bhagwan, we can purify our mind and make it single pointed and let it abide in the self. So bhakti is also a powerful method of quietening the mind. But here Arjuna is addressing Bhagwan as Krishna and is saying कि चंचलम ही मन कृष्ण प्रमाथि बलवद दृढ़म. He says that this mind is chanchalam, pramathi, balavat, and dhrudam. 4 qualities he enumerates of this mind and says tasyaham nigraham manne. He says the control of this mind, I feel, I think, is as difficult as controlling the wind. Vayoriva sudushkaram. The wind, if you want to stop it from blowing, moving in the world, it's very difficult to control. In the same way, very difficult to control this mind because it is chanchal, pramati, balavat, dhrudam. Now let us try to understand each of this quality of the mind. Chanchalam. Chanchal means what? Chanchal means it keeps on changing topics. It keeps on moving from one topic to another, one object to another. The mind means here antakarana, mana buddhi chitta ahankar. See, antakarana is one, but it expresses in 4 ways. As mind, as the thinking faculty, as intellect, as the decision-making faculty, as chitta, as memory, as ahankar, as one who has got this thought of I, means one who coordinates all these activities of the antakarana, the vritti which coordinates all the activities of the antakarana, as well as of the senses and the body, the ego. So this mind, means antakarana, is chanchal, means it keeps on changing very fast. It is never seems to be at one steady state, keeps on moving. See, when we are, let us say you are walking, and as you walk, your eyes are open, you see the area around, your ears keep on listening to different sound, and your nose are constantly smelling different fragrance, and your body is also touching the air and touching other objects. So constantly there is this stimuli coming from the world, and with each stimuli the mind should be there behind that to recognize it and to respond to it accordingly. So I walk and then I hear I am walking on the road, I hear the traffic and all, I have to respond accordingly. I get some smell, then I respond to it, I feel something and I respond. So the mind is constantly taking in the stimuli, the intellect constantly take decision, and based on the decision I keep on acting, responding. If the mind gets stuck with one idea or one thought only, then I will not be able to walk. I will not be able to function in this world. If you have to drive, let us say, then not only your senses should be alert, your mind, your intellect should be alert. Means it has to register every new stimuli and take appropriate decision. It cannot just hold on to one thought, then you will not be able to take any decision and there may be some accident. So it's the very nature of the mind to keep changing Because in order to function in this world, this chanchalta of the mind is required. If the mind is not chanchal, if the mind is not moving, then we will not be able to respond to the new stimuli which is constantly coming. See, just like our phone, we have our landline, but landline is steady at one place only. We can't move around. So if a phone call comes, we have to go to that landline. But we have this mobile. If a phone call comes or I make a phone call, I can talk while walking. I can talk while traveling by a vehicle also. Because wherever I move, the connection is maintained. It keeps on maintaining that connection even when I am moving. Just like a train also, it is connected, electrical train. As it moves, it is connected to the wire which is supplying the electricity constantly. Similarly, when I move and interact with this world, the mind should be constantly connected to the senses. And since the world keep on changing, the stimuli keep on changing, the mind should also keep on changing to respond to the changing world. So that is the very nature of this mind. It has been helping us to live in this world from beginningless time. That is how the mind is. But if I want to meditate, then this chanchalta of the mind is not required. I have to hold my mind in one thought only, in one object only. So I don't require the mind to be chanchal. I don't want the mind to be restless. But it is. So chanchalam hi manak Krishna pramathi. Pramathi, another quality of the mind, it is turbulent. Even if it is thinking of one object, it is very restless, it is very turbulent. It's like the waters in the river. Sometimes you see a whirlpool, the waters are at one place only, but they move with such vigor. It's very, very turbulent. Or when you churn the dahi and all, the whole thing is at one place only. The dahi is not moving around. It is in that one vessel, but it is churning. Similarly, this mind, it churns like anything. It has got this strong, this capacity. So it churns. So because of this churning of this mind, even the senses become very restless. The body also becomes restless. The churning of that mind can make our senses go wild and can make the body also go wild. Because the mind affects the senses, the mind affects the body, the mind affects our breathing. So that is also one nature of this mind. It is very pramathi, very turbulent. Then the third quality of this mind is that it is balavat. Balavat means balavan, very, very strong. If it is holding on to one thing, you cannot make it budge. You cannot move it. You cannot push it. All our energy of our senses, sometimes all our energy of our knowledge and memory also fail to restrain this mind. It is so strong. If it decides to do something, even with all our power and force, and we cannot stop it. It is so strong. It's like an elephant. If it is running, you want to stop it from moving, running. It's very difficult. Similarly, this mind is very strong, very powerful. Then it is dhrudam. Dhrudam means it has got tremendous stamina also. See, sometimes a person may have great strength. He may resist for some time, but after some time he loses all his strength and he loses that stamina. May not have that stamina. But our mind has got tremendous stamina. It can hold on to one thing for a long, long time also if it wants. Tremendous stamina. There are certain things which we have, which we are holding on to right from our childhood. We hold on to throughout our life. Some negative qualities, some anger, some jealousies. We are holding on to those things with dear life. Some people carry their hatred, dislike in their heart throughout their life, never giving it up because the mind is holding on to it. It has got tremendous, that stamina is there. It doesn't become weak, doesn't give up. So all these qualities are there in the mind, in our antakarana. But these qualities can be used positively when we are following this path of dhyana. Though these qualities may seem like bad qualities, but they can be utilized in a positive way to help us on our path of meditation. That Bhagavan will tell. So this chanchalam hi manak Krishna pramati balavadhridam tasyaham nigraham manne vayoriva sudushkaram. So Arjuna says to control this mind, to restrain this mind. When I sit to meditate on my own self, the mind tends to run towards some object. Then I try to pull it back, but it is very strong. I struggle to bring it back to the self, but it becomes very restless, there, very turbulent, and it holds on to some other ideas, some other concepts, some other thoughts. So it becomes very difficult. So tasyaham nigraham manne vayoriva sudushkaram. Bhagavan says, Arjuna says, that to control this mind is as difficult as controlling the wind. So yesterday I had told you to check your mind, to do some introspection and find out how your mind is. If you have done, you will know that all these qualities are there in the mind. Chanchalta, then it is pramati, balavat and dhrudam. So after listening to this, Bhagavan now, he gives the method of taking care of this mind. No doubt the mind is very restless and all, but it can be brought under control. So Bhagavan says, Shri Bhagavan Vacha Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam Abhyasena tu Kaunteya Vairagyena cha Grihyate. Bhagavan says, Shri Bhagavan Vacha. Bhagavan says, Ki He Mahabaho, O great Arjuna, you are a Mahabaho, you have these long arms. You are also called Parantapa. You are such a mighty warrior. You are able to easily defeat all these enemies like anything. You are so good with all the weapons. You can control your enemies with the strength of your weapon and your skills. But with all these skills and weapons and controlling your enemies, you fail to control your own mind. But Bhagavan agrees that yes, the mind has got this nature. He says, Asamshayam Mahabaho Mano Durnigraham Chalam. That there is no doubt that the mind is chalam, is restless. That the mind is by nature restless. Restless means mind is by nature changing. It keeps on taking in new stimuli. It cannot hold on to one thing constantly. Then we will not be able to function well in this world. See, when sometimes our computer or our mobile also gets stuck on one page or some window we open and it gets stuck. If it gets stuck at one page only, then we will not be able to use it. We say hang ho gaya. So similarly, if the mind gets stuck at one place while functioning in this world, we will not be able to function. So it is the very nature of the mind to keep on changing so that our interaction with the world becomes smooth. But when it comes to meditation, we don't want the mind to be like that. We want the mind to just focus on one topic only. We don't want the mind to run into different topics or different objects. But because of this habit of so many lifetimes, the mind runs. It doesn't have the habit of meditation. We have been living from beginningless time and we are experiencing Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti Avastha. But we have never been able to attain that state of meditation in our past lives. If we had, we would have become mukta by now. So the very fact that we are not mukta, we have not attained that sthirata in our meditation. So the mind keeps on changing. So Bhagavan says, you are right. There is no doubt that mind is chalam and therefore durnigraham, very difficult to restrain. Very, very difficult to bring under our control. You are saying is true. But there is a upay, there is a method. If we follow that method, we will be able to stop the mind from running around at ease. See, just like a train is there, so mighty. Nowadays we have the electric train. Previously we used to have the steam engine. So with coal and all, you burn those coal, produce steam, and with the power of that steam, the mighty train will move. So heavy train with so many bogies, sometimes carrying lots of goods. The train moves with full power and force on those tracks. Suppose you want to stop that train with your brute force. It's very difficult. How can you stop the train? So mighty, so powerful. But the driver of that train who has all the controls with him. He has some control there, and effortlessly, if he just presses it, the mighty train comes to a halt. Similarly, however mighty this mind may be, if we know the right switch, if we know the right place where we can press, we will be able to stop this mighty mind on its track. So that's what Bhagavan says, that there is no doubt the mind is mighty and restless and chanchal, turbulent, and having lot of power and stamina and all. But abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. By this twofold method, the mind can be restrained, the mind can be controlled. What are the twofold method? Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Hey Kaunteya, hey son of Kunti, कि the mind can be restrained through abhyas. Abhyas means practice. Repeating something again and again and again. Practicing, we can control the mind. And vairagya, by developing dispassion, we can control the mind. These twofold techniques are there. See, in Patanjali Yoga Sutra also, Patanjali Rishi gives this twofold technique of abhyas and vairagya. See, we have to quieten the mind. Patanjali Rishi says ki yogas chitta vritti nirodha. To quieten the mind is what he calls yoga, and once we can quieten the mind, we can gain abidance in our own self. Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. And then he describes the types of thoughts which are there in the mind. In order to quieten the mind, he analyzes the mind. And then he says, Patanjali Rishi says, there are 5 types of thoughts. Mind is nothing but, our antakarana is nothing but flow of thoughts. Constantly the thoughts are flowing like a river. Constantly the thoughts are flowing. Different types of thoughts. But all these thoughts are classified into 5 groups by Patanjali Rishi. He says pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smritayaha. There are these 5 types of thoughts. One is pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa, nidra, smritayaha. Don't worry about remembering all these technical terms, but just understand. Pramana means the thought which comes when we use our praman, like the indriyas. When we see, hear, taste, touch, it creates a vritti in the mind. I open my eyes and look ahead. I see the building, I see the trees, I see the birds, I see the sky, I see the clouds. So whatever I see, it creates a vritti in my antakarana. It creates an image in my antakarana, and the buddhi recognizes it because it has got this memory. So it refers to the memory, recognizes it, and tells me what it is. So constantly this thing happens. Through the senses, I keep getting the knowledge of this world. So that is, our senses are called praman, pratyaksha praman. But I gain knowledge through inference also, different types of inferences. I gain knowledge. I see smoke and I gain knowledge that there must be fire. So Anuman, Praman and all. Then I also gain knowledge from the scriptures. By studying the Shastras, I gain knowledge. So all this knowledge are authentic. Through the senses also I gain authentic knowledge of the world. Through inferences also I gain authentic knowledge of the world. Through the Shastra also I gain knowledge. So all this knowledge in the form of thoughts, they are called pramana vritti. They are also there in our antakarana. But sometimes we gain false knowledge. That's called viparyaya, wrong knowledge, false knowledge. Like there is a rope, but we feel that there is a snake. So we get wrong information, wrong knowledge. But those wrong knowledge is also there filled in our antakarana. Not only in the present moment we get wrong knowledge, but we store also them in our memory and we recollect them. So all this wrong knowledge also are there in our antakarana. That's called viparyaya. Then we have lot of imagination. It's called vikalpa, which may not have the actual object in this world, but we have imaginary concepts and ideas in our head. That's called vikalpa, imagination. That is also a vritti in our antakarana. So when we are awake, all these are active. Then even smritayaha, our memory, we have tremendous store of memory that also keeps coming in our mind. So when we are awake, pramana, viparyaya, vikalpa and smriti plays a role. But then the mind gets tired and mind goes to sleep. See, even our dream is like memory only. But when we are in deep sleep state, dreamless sleep, then the mind remains there stagnant, suspended animation like. So there is abhav of vritti. There are no vrittis. So that is called nidra. Abhava pratyaya vrittir nidra. Means there are no thoughts happening, absence of thought. So absence of thought is what is called nidra, deep sleep. All our memories and all are like dream. When we are awake, we have these thoughts which are according to pramana or false knowledge or imagination. So all these are there in the mind, constantly happening. And they get triggered, the thoughts get triggered by the stimuli which comes from the world outside. And when the stimuli comes from the world outside, it triggers the different types of thoughts within. And sometimes, due to samskar also, the mind gets activated. So due to samskar and due to the trigger from the mind, from the world outside, the mind becomes restless. Just like if you look at the ocean, you see lots of waves. Lot of these waves are triggered by the energy which is there within the ocean. The ocean currents are there, very powerful, which gives rise to these different types of waves. The churning is taking place inside the ocean. But from outside also, if a lot of wind is blowing and all, you find waves, restless waves, they arise in the ocean. Similarly, our mind is like the ocean. So there are these samskars which triggers lot of thoughts in our mind. At the same time, the stimuli from the world outside also triggers. So the samskars which are there in the mind, they are like habit. So my mind thinks whatever thoughts come out of habit also. Vahi, bar. See, if you meet some person and talk to them, or if you meet them again and again, you will find that they talk the same thing again and again and again. Because their mind is giving out the same type of thoughts. So mind thinks out of habit. Similar types of things keep on pouring out from their mind. So out of habit, or out of certain stimuli reaching to us from the world outside. So we have to tackle this mind in both these spheres. We have to change the habit of the mind, and we have to prevent the mind from getting influenced by the outer stimuli. So the habits of the mind, which gives rise to same type of thoughts and same type of emotions are generated, and same type of memories get recalled. The mind keeps on moving in the same rut. Therefore, if you analyze your days, you will find that most of your days are similar, like same thing. Not only your activities are similar, but all your thoughts also, similar type of thoughts keep on pouring out. So in order to tackle the mind, we have to tackle it at both these spheres. So in order to change the habit of the mind, we have to, habits are formed by repetition. So we have to change the habit of the mind by making the mind meditate on the self. We have to create that habit in the mind. We have to create a new habit in the mind of constantly thinking of the self. Thinking of the self, the supreme self, not the ego. So repetition, habit are formed by repetition, so abhyas is also repetition. So you keep repeating, keep doing the same thing. Abhyas is a powerful technique that you practice bringing the thoughts of your mind toward the self. If toward the self directly become difficult, we can use some other means like japa. Japa is also a powerful means of again and again bringing the thoughts to the self. Atma, which is also Paramatma, that Paramatma has many names. So by chanting those names and meditating on the meaning of those names as Paramatma, we can bring the thoughts of the mind again and again to the self. Same technique our Patanjali Rishi also, he says that you place your mind on that Ishvara, tasya vachaka pranavaha, his name is Om. So tad japas tad arthava bhavanam. So by doing japa of this Om and meditating on the meaning of that Om, one can restrain the mind and make it quiet. So abhyasa. Also, as Bhagwan had said in the previous verses, in the one of the verse, ki yato nischarati manaschanchalam astiram tatastato niyamye tada atmani eva vasham nayet. The mind runs around here and there, catch it and again place it in the self. So again and again to place the mind in the self is called abhyas, practice. Practice makes a man perfect. So dirghakala nairantaryena satkara sevitaha dhrudabhumihi. As Patanjali Rishi says, we should practice for dirghakala, for a long time. Nairantaryena, without a break. Satkara sevitaha, with full regard and respect for the sadhana, then we will be able to gain abidance. We will be able to control the mind. We will be able to restrain the mind. So that abhyas is very important. And if it is done at the same time, at same place, with the same technique, then slowly and steadily with this abhyas, the mind will come under control. See, if when a person joins an army, and youngster, after his graduation, after his studies, joins the army, becomes a soldier there. But the job of the soldier is to obey the command of the commander. When the soldiers go to fight as a group, they are led by the commander, the officer, who decides and plans the whole strategy and then accordingly gives instruction to his soldiers. The soldiers have to follow those instructions very obediently. Sometimes there are dangers. It may cost they might get injured, or it may cost their lives also. But when the command is given, they have to obey it without having that fear of death. If the officer says, march forward, and the soldiers see the enemies are there, and they are with guns and all, and if they march forward, they will also shoot and we will also shoot. But he has to obey that command, and they obey it and they go ahead. So if suddenly people are not trained and they are sent in this army, so when they are given order, they will get frightened and they will run away. So how do this army follow all the orders fearlessly? They are being trained very beautifully. Not only they have this great that patriotism in their heart, but they are also trained to follow orders. So every day they practice left, right, left, right, left, right, about, turn, go ahead, march ahead, come back, retreat. So they are made to follow. So when the commander is giving them that order, immediately the body moves in that direction. Left turn, the body moves on the left turn. Right turn, right turn. Go ahead, they go ahead. So by practicing this for a long time, the body also gets trained. The mind also gets trained. Then there is no question about not following that order. Then even if the greatest of danger is there, it doesn't matter. March forward, they will just march. Even the fear of death will not stop them. So how they achieved this? Through training. And what is training? Training is repetition, practice. Doing it again and again and again. And giving that value to the commander's voice, to the officer's command. Similarly, we have to train the mind to meditate on the self. Like soldiers are trained, we have to train the mind. That every day you keep thinking of the self, using the name of the self, or using some mantra. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham Mano Buddhi Hankara Chittani Naham Nacha Shrotra Jivve Nacha Grana Netre Nacha Vyoma Bhume Na Tejo Na Vayuhu Chidananda Rupa Shivoham Shivoham. Or take Bhagwan's name, Ram Ram Ram, Krishna Krishna Krishna, Shiva 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 Shiva. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So constantly training the mind. If we drop that training even for a few days, the mind again will start wandering. It should be trained. Mind is an instrument. Mind is, whatever is training is given to the mind, it will take it. See, just like animals, birds, they can also be trained. In the army, they have horses, they have dogs also who are very well trained. Not only in the army, but even in the fire department and all, or in the narcotics department, police department, they have trained dogs who are trained to even smell and drugs, or who are trained to enter even a building which has caught fire to go there and rescue some people. They don't fear death. The training can transcend the fear of death. The training can transcend the fear, the attachment to things and beings also. Therefore, in the army, they are given orders at any time when they are being trained. They are sleeping in their racks, and 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, suddenly that order comes that, come on, all of you, out, and let us go for a run. And they are out and they are running. They are tired, hungry, but they are not given food or drink so that they can control that attraction for food, sleep, drinking, resting, vigorous training. Similarly, that upasana is like vigorous training to the mind. Japa, tapa, upavas, dhyana, saguna dhyana. All these are very powerful training for the mind. And once a mind is trained in this way, you sit for meditation, the mind will not resist. The mind will not jump, run away anywhere else. The mind is told to march forward towards the self. The mind will get dissolved in the self, but fearlessly the mind will march forward. Mind has got attraction for some objects and all, it will not pay attention to it. It will just march into the self and dissolve itself into it. Just like this little flies which comes in the rainy season, they get attracted to the fire and they just rush towards it and they die also there. But that tremendous attraction is there. They don't care even if they die. Similarly, the mind with tremendous attraction toward the self, that Paramatma, comes and merges itself into that Paramatma fearlessly. So that abhyasa. But even when we are doing this abhyasa, sometimes some stimuli which comes from creates tremendous attraction. So in order to loosen that attraction towards the world and towards all distraction, we have to develop vairagya, dispassion. Again, like that army, the soldiers, they might be tired, they want to sleep, so there is a lot of attraction for sleep, or hungry, want to eat, or thirsty, want to just drink some water. But they are trained. But now they have to march forward, conquer the enemies. So there's no time to relax, no time to sleep, no time to eat, drink. With whatever condition, they have to go ahead. Just like Hanumanji was requested by Mainak Parvat that please stop for some time, have some fruits, relax for some time. Hanumanji says, no, Ram kaj kine bino mohi kaha vishram. How can I have vishram without completing Bhagwan's work? No vishram, no sleep, no eating, no drinking, no indulging in any other activity. बस राम का कार्य करना है. With that firmness and that enthusiasm and that control over the mind, when we practice, we will definitely attain success. So abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grihyate. Most beautiful, powerful method of restraining the mind and making it abide in our own self. So contemplate on this, think about it. More about this we will see in our class tomorrow. Till then, you stay safe, happy, peaceful, healthy. Do your work, do your sadhana, and we will meet again tomorrow. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Boli Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.